Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles. I'm delighted to be joined by Kimberlee and Patrick with their fantastic documentary, Independence. But for those that haven't seen it, let's take a look at a clip.
I just called the Social Security Administration to figure out how close I am to losing my caregiver. And it doesn't say on the website, and they don't answer the phone, and they don't let you leave a message. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
I wish I could give you a big virtual, well, I'll give you a virtual hug, but I wish I could give you a big hug. But it's so lovely to be with you both. And again, congratulations on being, an Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge finalist and being part of New Filmmakers Los Angeles. But for those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis of your film.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us and hosting us. And Independence really it's a very small look, but it starts to kind of scratch the surface of the financial difficulties that are associated with being disabled, and like how unless you make a bunch of money independently, you need help from the government, but that really puts kind of a stranglehold on what you're able to accomplish as an individual and how much you're really able to like contribute to society. So I wanted to take a look, like I'm dealing with this situation myself now, and I wanted to kind of start to dive into it and introduce people who aren't familiar with like this kind of hidden problem.
The thing that was magical to me that gave this movie the fact that this movie should be literally given to every decision maker in America that could make these changes is that you actually provided extensive research, the facts and the figures, so we could truly understand what, as you as an example, as a couple have to go through. It's unreal what you both have had to go through. And I'm so sorry for that, because you don't deserve that. Life is tough enough as it is anyway. I'm just curious for maybe, for you, Kimberlee, as well, and for you, Patrick, when was the moment where you're like, we have to make a film about this?
Well, we were brainstorming at the beginning when we got the prompt, and it was very broad. It was like, what does disability mean to you? And like all of that kind of stuff. And we were like, well, that could go on for days. So I just asked Patrick, I was like, what is the film that you would want to see as a disabled person? Or what is like something that you would have wanted to see before? And kind of the combination of that was, he's working through this issue right now, but also in having worked with this issue for a little while, has started gaining knowledge. And then we just started diving into that research, which we realized, wow, for a like week-long challenge, we might have bitten off way more than we can chew. Yeah. But so we focused it in on this like one segment, this one small piece of it, and then just researched most of the days, and then like threw it together in that last day.
And the things that really kind of interest me at this point, because I have a spinal cord injury, but I've had my injury basically my entire life. And so the things that are interesting to me now are like the logistical hangups, like I've figured out how to kind of navigate through the world as a disabled person, but there are just like logistics that I don't know how to get past, and so this was me. I mean, I already have to research this stuff to make sure that I'm like following the rules.
Yeah.
And so, I wanted to, take a deeper look at it.
Well, I mean, I think it's, again, thank you for sharing something that you're going through, and it's personal to, to what you're going through and what you're going together as a couple. And, it's really tragic, actually, that you can't just deal with what's in front of you. You have to think, how are we going to afford to do this, and it's something that is so much more deeper than just going through the emotional and physical trauma of something. And it's very sad because it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, making the film and the whole journey of it, did you kind of uncover things that you were, as you went along on the journey, like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize it was this? Was there anything, or did you kind of really know or what was going on, or did you kind of discover things as you went along as well?
Oh no, I discovered like I knew about the income limit. Like I knew that there were you know, that as I made more income, I lost benefits and stuff, but I didn't know how to calculate it. Like that was the first time in researching this that I actually found the way to calculate it. And the like scary part is it's not just on like one website. Like you have to combine information from like 3 different websites to figure out what you're gonna do and how to make this happen. And so, I mean, it's not set up for like to figure it out. Like they don't want you to figure it out.
And Patrick has talked to me about how, like, just like a few years ago, we were just talking about this recently. He like wasn't sure and he was very hesitant to get a job because he didn't know what his income limit really was. So at any moment, it felt like the floor could really like drop out from under him.
Yeah,
it's really scary because it's really difficult too. Even in making the film, you should see our bloopers. They're pretty hilarious because it's like Patrick and I like looking at each other at like 4 in the morning, like it's Medicaid, IHSS, and they have this threshold. Wait, are there 3 thresholds? But that doesn't matter.
Like,
what?
We sound like crazy people.
Yeah, it was insane.
We're cross-eyed trying to figure this out. And you know, I
love that you mentioned that though, Patrick, and Kimberlee adding on to that, like, because you actually explained, like you just said, they made it complicated so you didn't work it out. So the fact that you both worked it out, you've really uncovered the kind of nasty secrets that are really going on that people find too complicated. The everyday person finds too complicated to actually navigate themselves through. So they probably just give up, you know, or maybe there's things that they're losing out on because they haven't done the research, or things that they are losing out on because they don't know the extensive research. And you took us on that journey.
It's 100%. Yeah.
I'm so glad that you did. And listen, I mean, you know, what's interesting too is that, you know, I mean, you know, we're in a country that really has great respect for love and couples and marriage and all those things. And it, from the fact you're a lovely couple and you love each other and you got 2 beautiful cats, does it feel sad from the love perspective, from, you know, creating your family together, that there's things in the way stopping you from progressing because you're together, like as a couple, and you're trying to build together and grow together? I mean, that part of it's sad too, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, it doesn't put a damper on the love aspect of it, but like we you know, want to eventually like own a house and get legally married, you know, like not just like we're engaged now, but you know, like when we get married, we might have to hold off the legal part of it just because like it becomes counterproductive, which is a crazy concept, that like love can become counterproductive. Like that's a bizarre thing. And so yeah, I mean, it's just wholly unnecessary. Like the solutions are there and they're very accessible, and yeah.
Luckily, we're like pretty good at communicating through obstacles, which is super important. But I mean, any relationship is hard, and then when you're thrown just a few more obstacles, sometimes it gets
Well, I mean, you listen, love is always going to be the strength of everything and be the biggest above and beyond no matter what hurdle comes in your life. And I think that's the beauty of it, is that, you know, you showed on camera, it just showed, you know, the great love that you have for each other and the support you have for each other. And we can come for anything, but goodness me, make it a little bit easier, please. We're trying to progress on with our life. You know, please. Now, obviously, this is part of a film challenge, which is one thing. So dare I ask the question, as a director and producer, like, what was the biggest challenge you had in creating this? Because I mean, honestly, documentaries take a long time to, you know, evolve, and you had a short time to do it. So it's like, wow.
It was definitely the research, because we decided on the topic fairly quickly. And then we started diving in and we're like, oh man, oh wait, there's literally like hundreds of different things that we can talk about. And so we just kind of picked, like, caregiving is the biggest kind of issue in my personal situation. So we just picked that because I could speak, more,
Yeah.
about caregiving. But I mean, there's countless other issues that people have, all stemming from the same, like, restrictions.
And even for that small one, like we said, it was like tons and tons of information. We'd like start down one path and be like, oh, we're wrong. Okay, let's like start back over and start figuring out where we got on the wrong track.
Buried inside like legislative documents and stuff with 50-word sentences where it's like, oh man, like I think I'm fairly smart, but this is my head's swimming.
And then like trying to fit all that information in and to a documentary, because the whole point of film is to like tell an emotional truth as well alongside of it. So that was trying to like weave it in and out, include enough information, but also not make it really dry.
Yeah.
That was really challenging as well.
Well, you articulated it, I mean, really, really well. I mean, I think you've got a whole TV series here, if I'm honest, just on what you have to both actually have to kind of go through. Now, I know obviously this was, major in a certain time, but like we loved having your film at our film festival, and we've got such a strong reaction, from what you were articulating from people within our community. What did, looking back, what's the reaction been for you thus far since you've made it? I mean, how's that been for you, the experience?
It's been great. I've gotten a bunch of messages from people who are able-bodied and people who are disabled. And, it ranges from like, oh, I didn't even know that this was a thing, to like, this is exactly what I'm going through too. And I think it's, it's encouraging for them, but it's also encouraging for me, like, to know, like, okay, I'm not totally crazy. Like, I spent, 5 minutes ranting to a camera about something that I'm pleasantly surprised. I shouldn't say pleasantly. It's an unpleasant thing that other people are going through it, but it's kind of relieving that I'm not the only person dealing with it. So, yeah, it's been I've gotten a lot of questions, and I wish I had more answers, because like I don't have answers to like solutions. I'm without a solution to these,
other than like voting for the right people. Other
than like getting the people in office that we need in office. But like,
well, I mean, I think the reason people are asking you questions is definitely because you gave such an intellectual viewpoint, which people could really understand the absolute truth of what you're going through. And it was so clear and brilliantly articulated from how you made the film together. With that being said, what do you both hope that this film can do, and what do you want to see change? Of course, there's a lot of obvious things that need to change, but what do you both see and visualize for your futures and for other people as well in similar situations?
I think the biggest thing is, like, I have a lot of people who, support me in the kind of activities that they see me doing. Like if they'll see me out at an event or a sporting activity or any kind of stuff like that. Like, they're all gung-ho, but they don't realize the like internal and like kind of, the struggles that are based in like policy and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I'm hoping that like it reaches people who have disabled loved ones, that they like kind of get what their actions, politically and in society and like internalized ableism, like all of that. I just want this film to kind of like be a little bit of a wake-up call, just like be like, hey, there are things happening under the surface, like behind the scenes, that your everyday actions can change.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
100%. Well, I mean, I think it should be a burning alarm every morning, actually, let alone a wake up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it should sting you until there's change. I mean, honestly, I'm so proud of you both for making this film, because, you know, you really are a lovely couple, and you know, it's so great when you're using your creative talents to make change, and significant change. And you know, no one is going to make any changes unless anybody puts out there what needs to be changed, and says this can go on no longer. And so I just want to make sure, you know, from us, we just want to put this everywhere as far and wide as we possibly can. I'm curious to know, as you are a sort of dream team filmmaking duo, what is next for you both?
We're developing kind of a series based off of the film that we submitted to.
So I was on the right track. That's great.
Yeah.
And so, like, we're kind of taking a bit of a like philosophical approach as well, kind of the idea of independence, and kind of breaking that down and seeing like how it relates to being disabled and depending on people, but how to factor that into like living an independent life as much as possible, and like where that like dependence can come from, and the pros and cons of getting it from like family, or from the government, or from your fiance, like kind of all of those different things. So we're gonna continue on with that, and expand upon what we already started talking about.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And honestly, it's so funny. I mean, I really do imagine this being a series, you know, because it's going to be, you know, it's a lot of long battles ahead, as you know, to overcome some of these changes. And so it needs a lot of screen time for people to really just, you know, keep pressing those buttons, you know, to make changes and knocking down those walls. So I'm so glad that you came to us with your film, and you know, really delighted for you both. And thanks for just, you know, educating the world, inspiring the world, and going for change. We really appreciate you both.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having
us.